Hello future programmers, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to write a program that prints a simple but fun pattern of hashes. So this is a great exercise if you're just starting out with loops and functions in Python. So by the end of this video you will be able to print your own customized hash patterns. So here is the problem that we would require to print a right angle triangle pattern of hashes like this. So here the number of rows in the pattern depends on the user input. Pretty simple, right? So let's break it down and understand how to implement this with Python. Alright, let's look at the code. Let me define a function pattern underscore triangle which takes an argument n. So here n represents the number of rows in the pattern. So when the user inputs number, that is how many rows we are going to print in the pattern. So let me take a for loop first for I in range of n. So the for loop here, outer for loop runs for n times, that is from 0 to n minus 1. So it runs for n times. If you input, for example, if you input n as 5, it will loop for 5 times. So once for each row of hashes. And let me take, so this outer for loop is for printing the number of rows in the pattern, and let me take an inner loop for j in range of, which runs in the range of I plus 1. So here the inner for loop is dependent on the value of I. So this inner for loop is basically to print the hashes in each row. So if we see the pattern, we have the hashes growing with each row. The number of hashes are growing by 1. So for each row the number of hashes printed depends on the row number. Here the value of j is depends on the value of I. The value of I dependent on value of n. So we can say the j value or the inner loop is dependent on the value of row number, that is n value. The range, so each time we print a hash. So let me write a print statement to print hash character, since we are printing hashes in our pattern, and we will be writing n equal to space to ensure that all the hashes are printed within the same line, adjacent to each other within the same line with spaces. So if we are not writing the statement n equal to space, all the hashes will not be printed in the same line, so which is not our requirement. So to ensure that the hashes are adjacent to each other within a row, we are including n equal to space. So once the inner loop has printed all the stars or hashes for a row, we need to move to the next line. If you see the pattern, so once it has printed hash of the first line, the cursor should move to the next line to print the hashes of second row, and after second row should move to the third row and it should print hashes of the third row. So to move cursor to the new line, we are including a print statement, so which is we can consider it is like a reset or enter button that moves the cursor to the next line at the end of each row. So let's see how this code works in action. Let me consider, for example, and we have taken n equal to 5. So let me take this. N equal to 5, the number of rows in the pattern should be 5. So for I in range of 5, so here it runs from 0 to 4, that is for 5 times. And j in range of I plus 1. In the first iteration, when I equal to 0, then a loop runs once and it only prints once hash in the first row. And when I equal to 1, then a loop runs twice, printing 2 hashes in the second row. And when I equal to 2, then a loop runs for 3 times, printing 3 hashes in third row. So this iteration continues until we reach the 5th row. So let me execute this code and see what it gives. Let me execute this. Python triangle underscore pattern .py. So before that, since we are defining a variable n for the number of rows, we would be taking the input from the user at runtime using input function. So let me int of input of, it would be asking the user to enter the number of rows in the pattern, and now we would be calling our function with the argument value as n. So now let me execute this. See, it asks for the user input for the number of rows and specifying it as 5. See, if you see the output, so let me execute this one more time and see. Ask for number of rows and it has generated a hash pattern which is having 5 rows. See, so if you see the output based on the user input, it is generating the number of rows in the pattern. Let me input the number of rows at 4. It has generated hash pattern, right angle triangle pattern with 4 rows. So there you have it, a simple powerful way to create a hash pattern using nested for loops in Python. This is a great example of how you can use loops and functions together to solve problems and generate patterns. So remember, Python makes it super easy to write clean, concise code, whether you're working on patterns or data analysis or even web development. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coding tutorials, and leave any questions in the comments below. I would love to hear what other fun patterns you would like to create with pattern. We can also create an inverted right angle triangle or other patterns, just doing a little modification to the existing code. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So until next time, keep coding, keep learning, and most importantly, have fun with Python. See you in the next video. Take care.